Welcome to the Best Me podcast. Your best tomorrow starts today. I'm your host, Ellen Livingston. I believe showing up each and every day as the best version of myself doesn't happen on accident. It takes awareness and planning. On this podcast, I talk about planning for ways to improve my health, develop a sense of purpose in everyday life, and create meaningful connections so I can be the best me I can be. And so can you. Let's get started. Hey there, besties. It's me, Ellen. Recently, I've talked about changes and planning for change, so it got me to thinking about motivation. Now, if you're like me, you may read about someone, or maybe you've watched a video about someone who reached a goal that they had, and it just dramatically changed their life. Maybe it was somebody who was totally out of shape and they became this super fit person. Or maybe they started a small side business and they worked on it and boom, it took off and they made a bunch of money and they got to quit their day job and they're doing what they love to do. That kind of story just really is so intriguing and it inspires me and it makes me consider my life and what all I dream about and what I hope to accomplish. And, I get all motivated to make a change and I start working toward my dream and my goal. And motivation is what really drives us to take action. It's the spark that inspires us to set a goal and change. And reaching small goals along the way to our big dream can keep us motivated because we get this sense of accomplishment and staying positive about how far you've come instead of how, much farther you have to go. It can help keep you motivated. But motivation is fleeting. It will not last. The excitement will wear off and the hard work begins. And you know what? We just tend to quickly fall back into our old ways and our dreams or our goals will just fall along the wayside. How many of you have ever gotten really excited about getting in shape and you go buy like new workout clothes and maybe some new tennis shoes and you join a gym and at first you're really good about going to the gym every day that you're supposed to and then, after a week or two you start skipping a few days and then after that it becomes a week and you know how that goes. So how do people who reach their goals and dreams do it? Now, I've talked about in the past about creating vision boards and creating a project management plan for a goal. And guys, that's really just part of the motivation. But people who reach their goals don't rely on motivation. They rely on self-discipline. Self-discipline is what enables us to create habits, to stay focused on our goals, to prioritize steps. It's what gives us our commitment, our consistency, and our patience as we work day in and day out to reach our goals. And it's not sexy, guys. It's boring. But the good news is self-discipline is something that you can train like a muscle. Where over time motivation gets weaker, self-discipline can improve and get stronger over time. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have any self-discipline. That's why I can't build my idea into a small side hustle. But guys, the best way to build your self-discipline muscle is to create a routine. Routines enable us to stick to the habits that we need to reach our goals. Routines eliminate decisions. You don't have to think about whether you're going to get up when your alarm goes off. You just do it. You don't have to think about whether you're going to go to your night class on Wednesday nights. You just do it. And the thing about routines and not thinking about them is when you just make your routines your normal way of life, it's not hard work. You don't have to force yourself to do them. And this isn't the living on autopilot that I talked about a few weeks ago. Your routines are driven by a goal that you're aiming for. Autopilot is just surviving each day without any goals, and you just get up and do the same thing each and every day. Routines enable us to act like the person we want to be. Remember that episode? Don't wait to live your dream someday. Start today acting like you're already there. And there's no better way to do this than with routines. Some of the world's most successful people have awesome morning and evening routines that set them up for having the best productive days possible. And you can do that too. Starting a new habit, such as spending an hour working on your side hustle each day or going for a walk every morning, is easier to stick with if you do something that's called habit stacking. This idea was created by Dr. B.J. Fogg, who is a behavior scientist at Stanford University, and he's the author of the book Tiny Habits, The Small Changes That Change Everything. And what habit stacking means is to stack a new habit on an existing habit, then that creates a routine that you follow. For example, I've told you about my morning routine, but I really haven't talked about what I did before I had that morning routine. And honestly, I didn't have anything. I just would get up, make coffee, and do whatever came to my mind. And after I decided to have a best me lifestyle, I wanted to intentionally focus on my health and to do something to connect to something larger than myself. And so I decided to add a stretching routine in the morning and to get some outside time out in nature. So I already had two habits. I would make coffee and then I would drink coffee. So I decided to stack my new habits into those two already established habits. So while my coffee was brewing, I decided I would roll out my yoga mat and do a quick 7-minute stretch that I found on YouTube while the coffee was brewing. And then I would get up and get my cup of coffee and I would go straight outside and drink that first cup of coffee sitting outside without my phone, and I would observe the nature around me. I would listen to the birds and look at the clouds and notice the trees, and I just combined those habits to create a routine. And I do all of this without thinking about it. I don't have to make a decision whether to stretch or not. I just do it. It's become my normal behavior, and it keeps me on track to my goals. I act like someone who takes care of their body, and honestly, I have a gym membership, and I rarely use it. And I know it's because I haven't stacked it onto another established habit. So I think about whether I want to go to the gym or not. And we all know how that usually goes. It's hard work to go to the gym because I haven't made it a normal thing that I do. And if you want to start a morning routine to get your day off to a great start, start small, add only 1 or 2 habits at a time and build on that. And the same thing goes for like evening routines or any other routine that you want to create to help get you to some goal that you're wanting to get to. When I started the Best Me podcast, I worked on it whenever I felt inspired or whenever I could find a little bit of time here and there, and I realized I really wasn't being very productive. So I decided that I would stack the work on the podcast right after finishing up with supper every night. And that way it made me way more productive. So if you're motivated to achieve some goal or dream, and I hope you are, make your vision board, create a project management plan. But remember, motivation will fade, but self-discipline through established routines will carry you through. That's all I have for today, besties. Be kind, be positive, and be your best. And remember, small progress is still progress. Thanks for listening to the Best Me podcast. If you would like to make a comment, suggest a podcast topic, or just say hi, send me an email at bestmepodcast@gmail.com. I hope you'll join me next week as I continue to talk about how to be the best me I can be. This episode was edited by Adam Boatwright. If you need any help with music, audio and video editing, or digital arts, be sure and check him out at adamboatwright.com. That's ADAMBOATRIGHT.com.